Hey everyone, it is Penguin Bond here with Bushi for Gaming, bringing you a Darkknightmon deck profile. We haven't really done many deck profiles on our channel. We are going to be doing a few throughout the remainder of BT-12, as well as one for EX4. And of course, when the Royal Knight set comes out, you'll see a lot of different deck profiles. I know a few people on your team are looking at playing a few different decks when that happens. Me myself, I main black, so I'll play Craniumon and build a specifically Craniumon deck instead of doing the whole 13 knights and all that craziness. But I did want to bring y'all the Dark Knight profile that I took to my locals. Went 4-0 with a little bit of luck from Nene, which I will get into that in a minute. But without much further ado, we have our eggs. We have 4 Pokemon. Pretty much a staple in all my decks. I know there's a few different eggs that people can run, but with the draw engine, sometimes you need cards, sometimes you don't, because you're able to put down something that searches turn 1. But with this, you raise something, you swing, you look, you usually find a Digimon that you can put in your hand. Moving on to our rookies, we only run 8 rookies in this. The mulligan really has sort of changed how many you need to run, along with most of our level 4s being 4 cost. You don't really need to run that many in this deck to begin with. I have it as a split with a 4 Monotamon, the BT-10 one, that's reveal 4 cards from the top of your deck. Add 2 cards that are either black with Knightmon or Deadly Axemon in their name, or with Twilight in their traits, among them to your hand, and then you place the rest of them at the bottom of your deck. I like this one over any other Monotamon, mainly because it is also a Twilight, so when you have Nene out, it can block. Really doesn't come up that much, but always nice to have. Then we have 3 of Chumon. Everyone knows what Chumon does, and with Beelzemon being as popular as it is, really did come in handy against the Beelzemon matchup, because they would trash 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards, and if they weren't able to kill the Chumon on the first 1 or 2 trashes with like a Deathslinger or something, I actually don't even think it was Deathslinger, whatever kills, they're going to be stuck not gaining memory from anything else because Chumon's still on board. And then finishing out the rookies, we have 1 Chikurimon from the starter decks. Players can't reduce play costs. I really only had this in there in case I came up against like Shoutmon or Crosshearts decks. Didn't come up against any that day, and honestly, I don't really like it as a one-off. I think I'm actually going to be switching it to a 4 Chumon and 4 of the Monotamon and just run 8 that way. But diving into our level 4s, we have 4 of School Knightmon Mighty Axe Mode. We have 4 of the BT-7 School Knightmon. We have 4 of the Deadly Axemon. And down here we have 3 of the School Knightmon Cavalier Mode. The bonus with Cavalier Mode and Mighty Axe Mode is they are treated as Deadly Axemon, so if you can't find this one, all you need to do is pull one of these 2 out, and you can cross meeting that requirement of having Deadly Axemon. Mighty Axe Mode, not too great of a card to play straight out. It does help you search, but then you do have to trash everything, and sometimes you'll do it, you'll search, and you'll trash 2 options, and you'll pick up 1 other School Knightmon Mighty Axe Mode. So sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't, but that really is sort of the gamble with this one. Personally, I actually like playing if I have to hard drop something, and I know School Knightmon can be dropped for 2 with the cross, but then he can die, and you can't play anything out from underneath him. If I'm hard dropping out of my level 4s, it is my Deadly Axemon. On play, reveal top 5. Add up to 2 Digimon cards with Knightmon in their name among them to your hand. Place the rest at the bottom. Most of this deck is Knightmon. You can pretty much pick up Mighty Axe Mode, Skull Knightmon, Cavalier Mode, and then getting into the 5s and 6s. Pretty much any of the Darkknightmons up here. And then rounding out the level 4s, of course, we have 2 copies of Grumblemon. I did not have this in my deck for the longest time, and I am not entirely sure why I took it out. I think I went a little crazy and said, oh, you know, I'd rather have like one more of the Cavalier mode and another option in my hand. And it just, Grumblemon really did save my butt a few times. Round 4, basically Grumble for game, both games. Can't really beat having it. Yeah, the risk is there that you will trash it off of Mighty Axe modes, or you'll bury it off of Deadly Axemon Search. But when you have it in your hand, it is nice to have. Moving on to our level 5s. Pretty simple, straightforward. We run 4 of the BT-10 Darkknightmon and 2 of the BT-7 Darkknightmon. BT-7 Darkknightmon is really good when you have this Skull Knightmon on field, where you can swing, trash the Digivolutions of a Deadly Axemon, put it under, and then go into Darkknightmon for free on swing. Great move, doesn't always pan out. And then, of course, the newer Darkknightmon is great because of the Digicross between a Skull Knightmon, Deadly Axemon, basically making it a 4 cost to play. It de-digivolves 1, and then it pops a 5 cost or lower. So 9 times out of 10, they have a champion on board, or they have a level 5. At bare minimum, you can de-digivolve it, and then you'll usually get lucky and get the pop with the 5 cost or less if it's a champion or lower. There are a few champions who, of course, are play cost 6 and you can't pop them, but not much you can do in that situation. And then with both of them, it's pretty much like just a never-ending, I don't know if anyone plays Magic, but it's like zombies, basically. You just make more and more of them. Granted, Digimon doesn't have tokens, but with this Darkknightmon, you basically take one of its sources, put it back in your hand, play the other one out so you can search again. And this one, you put both of them out. You play 1 Skull Knightmon and or 1 Deadly Axemon suspended. And since your Cavalier mode, your Mighty Axe mode, and of course your Deadly Axemon count as Deadly Axemon, you can play out usually 2 Digimon. Granted, they're suspended, but 9 times out of 10 you'll get another search with it, which is always what you need because you would love to have card advantage more than anything. Moving into our level 6s, we only have 1. It's the only one you need to run in this deck. You do not need any more, just 4 copies of Darkknightmon X Antibody, and that is it. I know a few people have messed around with other level 6s. I feel like it gums up the deck a little bit, and this deck solely revolves around it being deleted and it bringing stuff back out. Darkknightmon X Antibody being no exception to that. On Digivolve, it is return 1 black or purple Digimon other than Darkknightmon X Antibody from trash to hand. Then, if this Digimon has Darkknightmon or X Antibody in its Digivolution cards, which is going to because your only 5s are Darkknightmons, you delete 1 Tamer and unsuspend this Digimon. So it does give you the Tamer hate when you're playing Cross or Hunters, and you can delete their stuff. If you're playing against Black or Gray and you really need to get rid of one of their Tamers, you have that ability too. Or if you have 2 memory, you swing with the Darkknightmon, and you have the second check from your Skull Knightmon, and it survives both checks. You go into this, you unsuspend, you kill your Nene to give you +2 memory, and you swing for another 2. It does make games ridiculously fast when it needs to. And then on deletion, you may play 1 Darkknightmon from your trash without paying its cost. And again, at that point, you're playing out your BT-10 one, so you can de-digivolve something on the field. And then if you have card advantage, you'll usually have a Skull Knightmon and Deadly Axemon in hand, so you can then Digicross 2 and delete something else. So it's sort of a killer combo. And then moving into 7s, I don't know how much of a popular choice this is, but Zort Defeat, good old Zort D, best level 7, at least for this meta personally. I know I'm probably in the vast minority on that, but I do like it a lot. For anyone who doesn't know, Insecurity, Battle doesn't happen, but it plays out for free. So you have a level 7 that plays out of security. You don't pay anything, it's just there. And then if you have to, you can Digivolve it on top of your Darkknightmon X antibody if you're really behind in the tamer game, and delete one of their tamers. And the best part is, just like everything else, it has an on-deletion effect. On deletion, delete one of your opponent's Digimon. Doesn't matter what Digimon, you can just delete it. Now, granted, most people have things that will help them save it, but it will strip their sources and make them try and save it instead of just getting a free, oh, I'm going to swing over that, and it dies, and I get no punishment. So, Zort D, like I said, best level 7 for this meta. I will probably continuously run 3 in here just because when it pops out of security, it's great. And when you have it in hand, it doesn't feel like a dead card because it can go on your level 6 pretty easily. Moving into the options before we go into our tamer. We have 3 copies of Ultimate Flare. Anyone who's ever played against me, anyone who's ever worked on decks with me knows Ultimate Flare is my all-time favorite option card. I don't think I will ever have a deck without it. It is Digivolve 3 on one of your opponent's Digimon, then delete all opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 3 or less. So it takes care of your memory blocker rookies. It takes care of your low cost, like Bloom Lord, your level 4s that are 3 cost. It takes care of your Black War Greymon as long as they didn't activate Yuya or have whatever the thing is that stops it from actually having the Metal Greymon. As long as they don't have a Metal Greymon under it, that stops it from being Digivolved that turn. Out of security, you basically knock it back down to a level 4 if they did it twice. It's just a really, really good card. I know a lot of people get a little scared because they see 8 play costs and they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to pay that much. I am okay with anyone having 10 memory to start their turn. I played Craniumon, and 9 times out of 10, I'd get 3 memory. I would drop the Craniumon and say, hey, you got 10. Just how I play. Moving on from Ultimate Flare, we have 3 copies of Pride Mem Boost. This more so I like in Commandramon because of Commandramon's ability to, need all the D brigades and trash. And with this, sometimes you really do get an unlucky hit where you'll trash 2 of your level 6s and an option, and you can't play anything. But revealing the top 3 and then playing 1 for free is still worth it. If you get lucky enough, you'll play Pride Mem Boost and hit Deadly Axemon. So not only do you have memory for later, you have the Search of Deadly Axemon. And then Immortal Ruler, I took out, put in. I've gone back and forth with this card so many times. But in the early stages, it really does help if you have a Nene early. And you do this just to trash 3 to see if you can find, if you can't find a Darkknightmon, you do this, you trash 3. And because it says you don't have to play a Darkknightmon. So if the only Darkknightmon you find is your BT-12 Darkknightmon, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to play that for play cost of 7. But it does get stuff in your trash. It does help you mill through your deck a little bit to try and find what you do need in order to play into going into your Darkknightmon level 6. And then to round out, we do have 4 copies of Nene. Staple, always going to have 4 copies of Nene. Never will have less. Game 4. This is actually round 4, this is actually what won me the second game. He swung, pretty much wiped my board, popped my Nene I had on the board, so I went up to 7, and then checked the last 2 cards I had, and the very last card was Nene. Came out, put a Grumble on, swung for game. It's just, yeah, you get really lucky in security, but her on deletion of gaining 2 memory is pretty good. As well as it does make everything that is Darkknightmon in their name or Twilight gain blockers. So you pretty much have your level 6, both your level 5s, You have your Mighty Axe mode because it has Twilight. You have your level 3 because it has Twilight, all as blockers. So, worst case, this pops out and you have something on board, you now have a blocker. That actually happened round 1. Nene popped out and it turned my Skull Knightmon into a or my Mighty Axe mode into a blocker, which actually saved me the game. Because if that didn't happen, it was going to be Omni for game and I lost. But you can't really Omni for game if you now have a blocker, which is sort of cool. It's like a new Shademon in a way. Although I still miss Shademon. Shademon's great. But that is my deck profile for Darkknightmon. I do think it's a pretty good sleeper pick in BT-12 meta. I know a lot of people probably are like, it's not really a sleeper because it was a good deck, but not a lot of people are playing it right now. I think everyone has new toy syndrome with all the support that Beelzemon got. So if you get super bored and want to give it a try, great. Like I said, highly recommend. But yeah, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys for watching. Questions, comments below. Always like, subscribe. Don't forget to join the Discord. And like I said, we will have more deck profile videos coming up. So I apologize. These first ones are probably going to be a little shaky. Just trying to get back into the groove and get used to it again. But again, thank you guys for coming out. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day, great rest of the week. And as always, good luck with your Digimon games. Good luck with your One Piece games. And anyone playing Lorcana, come and look me up in a few months. We will get some games into. Have a good one.